Hey guys, this is eBilly89, and this is a reply to Athosamo about why sandcastles cannot form in nature. And it has nothing to do with chaos. It's simply the structure of the beast. This would be asking, well, why can't a plate come back together when you crack it? Well, even if it could, it won't stay together. You've destroyed the principle of the thing. You have to create a new thing to hold the thing back together. Sand does not naturally want to stand up on each other. They flatten out like it's almost a liquid. Surprisingly, to get it to be more like a solid, you've got to add a liquid to it, which is strange. But the sandcastle will eventually collapse when it dries out, because that's the nature of sand. Sand falls. Sand always falls. You just used a bad analogy. And the reason it's a bad analogy is because we see other things form castles, or dragons, or pretty much anything. And it's not because they actually do, it's because the human eye always wants to see something that's not there. I mean, how many of us have looked up into the night sky? Well, not night sky. How many of us have looked up in dawn or dusk, looked at the clouds and seen maybe an elephant fly by, or anything? And one could say that's order, but that's just cloud formations. You want to be accurate. Why DNA? Let's just forget this sandcastle analogy because it gets us nowhere. DNA honestly could not have formed by natural incidences outside of evolution. Because we didn't start with DNA. That would be like saying, well, how did the V8 come by? Well, we didn't start with the V8. We started with the straight block. We didn't start with DNA. We started with RNA, or maybe even something less complex than RNA. It's a nucleic base with four chemical markers. Tethylene, acetane. I don't know what the four are. I mean, I know them, but I don't know them. I couldn't name them. But we found these chemicals in soil that, this isn't a very complex mixture. This would be like finding skin on the top of your pudding cup and saying, well, how did that happen? I mean, I could give you the chemical processes, but that's not really what's important. But let's start at the beginning. Our universe was in a hot, dense... Nah, just kidding, I ain't gonna sing. I'm not gonna kill y'all. But our universe was in a hot, dense space. And then the Earth formed, and we have lipids. Lipids are a carbon strand with a hydrogen base. Hydrogen is a is a negatively charged isotope which tries to stay away from the positively charged water. Now, to do this, they form bubbles. Usually, double bubbles. I can't do a double bubble with my hand. Just imagine a double bubble. A bubble inside a bubble. Now, the two tailonids, they stay on the inside of the two bubbles. So you got the heads on the outside and the tails on the inside. Now, the ones that started were just a simple card. Yeah, the ones we've got today can be much more complex. But it's just a simple thing. And because of the chemical makeup of these, they want to create balls. They want to stay out of the water. Now, any molecule that could absorb more molecules would be larger, and thus would be able to absorb the smaller bubbles. So only the larger bubbles would survive, because the smaller ones would be devoured. Not in a real cannibalistic way, just chemical absorbing another chemical. Now you have millions, billions, trillions of these little fat bubbles floating around the medieval ocean. Well, primeval ocean. 2 o'clock in the morning, okay? And those that could somehow copy their information will be better off. But there's no easy way to do this. However, there are RNA molecules that formed with the clay in the bottom of the sea. But the problem is they can't get in. So these fat bubbles would float over these volcanic vents. And as we all know, when something goes over a volcanic vent, it creates more energy and confuse chemicals together. Thus, a couple nucleotides can fuse together to form a very simple RNA molecule. Now, it's too large to escape the fat molecule, so this is your very first primeval cell. It has very simple replicating ability. It is nothing in the lines of what we have today, but it shows a simple process by which life could originate here on Earth. And it's nothing more complicated than what you'd find in a bowl of dishwater. So, the nature of the beast is that sand does not form castles naturally. Not because of the chaotic nature in it, but the same reason that you can't get spark plugs into clay pudding. It just doesn't work. So, yo, peace and good night. I think I'm going to head to bed.